Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Ginger Gamers Tech. Today I have for you something interesting. I'm going to swap out the shell on the Nintendo Switch Pro controller with a new one. So I went ahead and ordered this off of Amazon. This is a all white shell, and it has the little notches that the Gamecube has, which I thought was really cool. Now obviously we're still going to be using all of the original buttons from the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, and there's going to be a very beautiful contrast. So the white and the black buttons are going to very nicely contrast each other. So it looks like the kit comes with front, the two little arms, and then it also comes with the back plate, which is interesting. And so I've actually never taken apart one of these, but I have seen a couple people do it, and we're going to see if we can have some fun taking this apart. So I still have that kit for the Nintendo Switch Joy-Con controllers that I used in the last episode, and I feel like we're going to use this kit again. A little bit of multi-use out of it. Now, the kit did come with extra screws here, so I'm not 100% sure whether I'm going to want to use those or not, but why not? So I'm immediately greeted with a 2.0 Phillips on the tips here. Now, from what I understand, these two things just sort of slide off. There we go. And that begins the process of taking this apart. All right, so there goes our two Pro controller, what they call grips, I guess would be the term. Not sure what other. It's like another Phillips head here, and another Phillips head here. And let's go ahead and remove both of those. Doesn't want to come out. Come on there, Mr. Phillips. Sounds like I'm talking to a teacher or something. And Mr. Phillips said I was a bad student today at school. Asked to go to the bathroom like 8 times. Okay, there's another one up toward the top. Let's go ahead and remove that one too. Come on, buddy. There we go. Now, if the kit is any indication, the back plate, I'm assuming, comes off just like that. This it's a very soft feel to it too. Like it's not, I don't know, soft touch, I guess. I've heard some products described as that, soft touch. With any luck, by the end of this video, our Joy controller will be looking quite dapper. Alright, so there's our original back plate, and a little dirty. It's like some dust sneaking in there. Alright, so we have our battery here, which is important to take out before you do any work on an electric device. So we're going to set that aside for now. So it looks like the kit came with the back plate, the front plate, and the two grips, but it didn't come with this plate, which is the one that the battery sits in. So I'm assuming that I'm going to be reusing that. All right, so far we've had 2 long black screws and 4 short silver screws. And we have another black screw here, although it's a shorter black screw. So the ones on the inside are actually much shorter. keep everything separate. It'll help us out in the long run, just to make sure that we are sort of compartmentalizing our little screws here, so we know exactly which ones they belong to. And I have no idea how long this is going to take. I've never taken apart the Nintendo Switch Pro controller before. So you guys probably know better than I do how long this takes, if you've watched any of the other videos, people taking these apart. Alright, so far it looks like we've gotten all the screws. There was one here, one here, and then one here, and then there's a black one there. That seems to be the end of it. I always like to make sure, just double check and make sure that actually is the end of the screws before I go prying, because you never want to break one of the poles. All right, so let's take our spludger and we're going to gently work around the edge. All right, we seem to have separated it. It almost seemed like it was glued. All right, so this is the part you want to be very gentle with, because you never know what ribbon cables there are. Actually, you can see that. So right off the bat, we have one ribbon cable that we're going to want to remove. Let's go ahead and pull that little. There we go. Now we have two separate hunks. Now, as far as I can tell, we don't need to remove anything off of this part, because this part is not going to be changed out. Whereas this piece is the one that we seem to need to swap. So that's actually kind of nice, because there's a lot going on this piece. We got the little motors and everything else, so I think it's probably better that we don't have to mess with that. Now, let's get to swapping. All right, so for the swapping process, I'm assuming we don't need this piece, so we're going to set that aside for now, which means we need this one. So right off the bat, I see several screws holding down the circuit board, so we're going to go ahead and remove those screws. And all the screws in here seem to be the same as the ones that were put on the underside of the battery cover. So we're going to keep all of those together. Looks like we got one more here by the ribbon cable. Now, of course, underneath of here, I'm sure we have all of the buttons. This probably wouldn't be a bad time to use a little bit of alcohol and clean off the pads. All right, so we got our alcohol and our little Q-tips. So we're going to very gently clean off those pads. Clean pads will give us better contact, which I would really prefer. And since we're in here, we might as well give it a go. Alright, and as we clean each one, I'm going to change out the pins, or the buttons. Okay. So we have the plus button. Oh no, that's the minus. And these buttons are keyed, so you can't actually put them in wrong. They will prevent you from putting them in wrong, because they only slot in one way. And we have the home button. No. Come back home button. How dareth thee? Oh no, that's the capture button. All right. Let's go ahead and put this back on. All right. Now let's clean off the ABXY pad. As you can see, as you clean it off, it does get dirty. It's not just my imagination. All right, so here we have the buttons. Let's go ahead and just drop them all in their respective holes. Okay. Let's go clean that one off. And this one. All right, now we have an empty shell, so we're going to put that to the side. We already cleaned this one. Okay, so let's go ahead and clean these two. Now keep in mind that when you clean these, you're going to want to wait a little bit before you use the controller, because even though this is isopropyl alcohol, it does have a little bit of water in it, and the water will cause problems for you, so you want to make sure it all evaporates away. Now the alcohol actually does help in the evaporation process, so it doesn't take as long as it would with regular water, because as the alcohol evaporates away, the water is evaporating away with it. I'll go ahead and clean my joysticks while I'm in here. I don't see any reason why not. And then we have our button assembly. And while we're at it, we might as well. Where's my one with the alcohol on it? Oh, well, this is it. Might as well clean off the contact points. All right. Now we're going to take this assembly, we're going to put it back on top. All right, and then we're going to use the black screws to hold everything back down. I'm so excited about this. It's going to look so sweet. You guys don't even know. And the little notches from the Gamecube controller, that's going to be so cool. I always loved playing around with that on the Nintendo Switch. Or sorry, the GameCube. It's a Nintendo Switch. All right, so at this point, I need to reconnect that ribbon cable. Let's see the best way I can do that. And the ribbon cable is not very long. And let's see if we can just sort of hold it. Get our screwdriver in there. Sort of wiggle it back and forth a little bit. I find with the ribbon cables though, you really have to get them in straight on your first go, and then after you get them in straight, then you can sort of wiggle them in. But this one is kind of a pain in the butt. Excuse me, sir. We're gonna have to try this another way. Let's try holding it like this. This ribbon cable reminds me of the one that snapped in the Joy-Con. Oh, and I know I said this a million times in my other video, but I didn't say it many times in this video. All right, so please, 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 please be careful with these ribbon cables. It is so extremely easy to break these ribbon cables, and in the process, you make your controller completely a paperweight. Now granted, for a controller like this, which is very popular, there's a good chance you will be able to get a replacement, but don't take that chance. I've had a lot of controllers that I've put together over the years, and you'd be surprised how many of them do not have replacement parts. And this is such a pain in the butt. Half the video is going to be me wrestling with this ribbon cable. And literally as soon as I get this ribbon cable together, it's just a couple screws here and there and the whole thing's finished. Come on, ribbon cable. Behave. It's like the ribbon cable doesn't want to go in. There we go. All right, finally. All right, so now we're going to slot this together. You're going to have to make sure that the joysticks get in their little cubbies. And that's pretty much it for that side. All right, so now what we're doing is we're going to reinstall the screws around the outside. So let's put right here. I actually rather like that it uses the internal parts. It doesn't have you replace that shell. With the Joy-Con, the whole thing has to be replaced, every single piece of the shell. So this mod is surprisingly easy by comparison to the Joy-Con. I know I don't have a video of me swapping shells on the Joy-Con. That might be something that I'll do eventually. But the Joy-Con are, let me just say, a lot more difficult to replace the shells on in general, because you have to take everything, and I mean everything, out of the shell, and you have to take all the electronics and all the little pieces and you have to put them into the new shell. And the shell comes in 3 different parts, which makes it very difficult. You have to you literally have to take apart every single piece of that shell and every single piece of the electronics, and it's just obnoxious. I've done it twice. I did it one time to swap. Dang it, my screwdriver just flew. Where did you go? Did a Houdini on me. Guys, that's crazy. Where did my screwdriver go? I found it. Good Lord, I found it. Man, that thing, I don't even understand how it fell down that way. right. Let's get these screw diggers back in here. Alright, so we got 4 silver screws and 4 silver holes. I'm just kidding, they're not actually silver. The only reason I know that they go the silver screws go there is because that's where I took them out of. Although now that I have that nice white shell on there, they actually shine up. They shine white. Alright. I just did a no-no, didn't I? That's right. Dagnabbit. The silver screws go in through the plate. See, I'm silly. Just goes to show you, don't matter how good you are at electronics, doesn't matter how much you know, you still make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Or as Bob Ross put it, happy little accidents. Honestly, I always liked making mistakes because when other people would make the same mistakes, I would know how specifically to tell them to undo their mistake. I'd be like, oh yeah, you put the silver screws into the body, you forgot to put the silver screws through the back plate. So you just need to take those silver screws out and you just need to put your back plate on and then put the silver screws back in. And you'll be fine. And then they're like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I did wrong. Oh yeah. All right, come on, you. This last couple screws got to be the. They're like, no, I don't want to go in. No, I'm free. I was finally free of my prison. You'll never put me back. Never. You'll never take me alive, Batman. Let's make sure everything is clicked in. Ooh, that was a nice, satisfying click there. Give it a nice firm push. All right, next we got to put our little doodads on. I don't know which one goes where. Ooh, sexy. All right, then we need our 2 long black screws, the longest ones. And they go in here to hold the thumb grip, hand grips, or whatever. This screw does not want to go in. This makes me sad. Oh, there we go. Dagnabbit. Y'all are gonna laugh at me. I know you're gonna laugh at me. That would be the battery. It's kind of hard to it's kind of hard to work a controller if the battery is not in the device. See, that's what I get for rushing. Don't you run away from me again, screwdriver. Alright, I'm gonna see if I can cheat on this and just pry this plate up gently and hopefully not have all the screws remove themselves. Hey, we get to hear that satisfying click again. I know you guys love that click. Alright, so we got our little pinholes here. Match up the pinholes there. Alright. There we go. It would have been sad when I turned on the controller and nothing happened. I'd be like, oh yeah, the battery's not in there, guys. Little baby. Little baby. What a mistake to make. Alright, let's give it that firm. Oh, no click again. The click was so satisfying though. Alright, so since we didn't really change anything, I don't really see the need to test the controller out. I did very little to it other than just simply swap the electronics from one shell to the other. The only major thing that I did there was remove the ribbon cable and then reattached it. So if the buttons on the controller on the top part don't work, then I'll know that that ribbon cable is the issue. All right, so she is done. And the lights beep when I press the top buttons, which tells me the ribbon cable is connected. And ooh, it just feels so beautiful. Like it just feels so nice. And the contrast of the white on the black is just amazing. I need a third-party toucher. Babe, can you come here for a minute?
Yeah, watch many of them.
So I just swapped out the controller here, and I want you to feel this. Like it's like the controller just feels really.
Wait, I can see my bracelet.
Oh yeah, that's the bracelet I got for Christmas. It's got all the little horror things on it. It's got it's got the Scream guy, it's got the chainsaw. It's got Mr.
That's the from Saw.
From Saw.
Chucky.
Isn't that cool?
Why does it feel so smooth?
I know, doesn't it? Doesn't it feel so like smooth and soft?
What is this for?
So I swapped out this shell with the old one.
Is this Xbox?
This is the Nintendo Switch Pro controller.
Oh.
Isn't that real pretty looking though?
It's soft.
Very soft.
It's like velvet.
Velvet. You heard it yourself, ladies and gentlemen, from a third-party interloper. The beautiful and amazing Gina.
Xbox. I didn't want for my Xbox.
I'll see if I can find a shell for the Xbox. That'd be fun.
Well,
All right, guys and gals. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little episode. I think it looks amazing, and who knows what we're gonna do next? Maybe an Xbox controller.
for the new Xbox.
Ciao.
He's a little booty. He's a little booty, right? That's a cute little booty.